Hi, my name is Heidi Silver-Pacuilla. I'm with the Virginia Department of Education. I'm the Adult Education Coordinator. I'm here to go over a presentation called The Role of Data in Program Design, was delivered at the March 2019 Data Leader Training. We've invested an enormous percentage of our WIOA implementation time and effort in discussing data. All of our efforts and our investment, it indicates that we think data and performance outcomes are very important. They're critically important. We celebrated last spring when we met our state negotiated targets. We absolutely recognize, however, that data and performance outcomes are not the only critical elements of program design. The purpose of adult education is to serve eligible youth and adults in our communities and connect them with further education, training, and employment to make them more engaged in their children's education and civic life. This is what we do. It's our driving mission. Our data should serve our mission. It should inform our decisions, but it's not synonymous with design or implementation. So let's unpack this relationship a little bit. Data, by its very nature, is a look back. It captures a moment in time that's already passed. It's a snapshot. One example of data is test scores. We know that assessments are a snapshot of a person's skills and abilities on that day. We do our best to provide a standardized test and a standardized testing environment, but we also know we can't control what's going on with that person that day. It's a snapshot. Looking at data is like looking at pictures from a trip. You aren't there, but the picture captures a moment and a feeling. You're able to recall and reflect, discuss. Sometimes it captures something that you are surprised to see that you don't remember even being there. Contrast is forward-looking. You're designing in advance of delivering service. Even when you're adapting to challenges in the moment, you're adapting and thinking about what you're going to do next. Imagine your schedule of classes. You take into account all the data that you have, community demographics, locations, attendance, your teachers, and you make a plan for next year. But you know that next year's plan is not a guarantee, it's just a plan. Data should inform your program design, but what are you looking for? What are the questions that you and your team could ask of the data that you have? What was successful? What wasn't? For whom and in what instances? How do you know? That's an important one. And how do you iterate with your current students and partners? What's not here on this slide is how do we design for data outcomes? You don't design for data outcomes because that can lead to unintended consequences such as under-enrolling students who may take longer to make gains, or only enrolling students who are sure to make a quick gain, or not completely representing the students that you have. Your program won't be represented accurately if you do that. Data captures some elements, but importantly, it doesn't capture the why of student behavior. That's another one that's very much missing in looking backwards at data. When you design for student outcomes, you take all these reflections and data points and connect them like a connect the dots. You're looking to find how you can help students achieve their goals and their outcomes. We look for our professional judgment informed by available research, our experience, look at the patterns in our data, and see how we can design for students. The first one, eliminate barriers. We know some of the common barriers: transportation, child care, family responsibilities, need for an income, lack of affordable internet, health issues. All of these things can prevent an adult from engaging or persisting in learning. We use our data to support our designs to work around those barriers, to find partners who can provide supportive services and class sites that are convenient. What about new barriers? New barriers are presenting all the time. How do you adapt to that? What about if a class site floods or you have numerous weather delays? You're scrambling to find ways to add more hours. What if a student can no longer attend? Maybe you want to connect that student with distance education. You want to be able to adapt to barriers, but also new opportunities. We're proud of our Innovation Challenge grantees who are able to do just that and to bring more programming to their communities, new and different things. What about accelerating students? Everyone has their own pace, but everyone can speed up at least a little bit. And no one is signing up to languish. Everyone is signing up to do something or to achieve something. So how do we find out what that is so that we can personalize our instruction and help them achieve what they're after in the most effective and efficient manner possible? And how do we keep changing along with the student as their interest adapts and grows? Career Pathways pairs academic, occupational, and supportive services to do all that we can as service providers to design opportunities for students to succeed. We emphasize career pathways because we know that making students aware of how to advance and achieve in a field can open up new self and family sustaining wages that will be good for the family, the community, the Commonwealth, our employers. So how do we do that? How do we design on-ramps to career pathways from every single classroom in the Commonwealth? How do we make sure it's not a boutique offering for only a few students? And the last point is making sure that we have an avenue to capture a very key data element, which is student voice. We need to help our students advocate for themselves, and we need to listen as they change and grow their perspectives over time. We may say, well, we tried that before and they didn't like it. Well, what about your current students? What about the students who said that before, who've changed their minds? All of these data elements generate updating data, constantly updating data. It's like the sand patterns in the picture before. Those patterns may look one way when you look at it, but they may change as time goes on. So let's think about this. In order to be informed by data, in order for any of this to work, your data has to be good, right? You have to have high quality data. It has to be accurate, reliable, complete, relevant, secure, and it has to be diagnostic. The consequences of not having complete data is that you don't have a complete picture of your program. You're designing without a complete foundation. What about our new table 2, that's capturing students with less than 12 hours? That's new this year. What are we going to learn about who doesn't stay? Who's not attaching? What will that new data help us understand about students who are not in our programs? We won't know the why. For that, we have to ask the students, but we can learn some things about that. Which pieces of our data are diagnostic? What questions can we ask that will help us make course corrections? So through data training and in all of our work, we need to hold a dual focus. We need to be looking at the big picture, looking forward, planning for design, data design, program design, and at the same time, we need to be looking very carefully at our data and making sure that our data is accurate, complete, relevant, and secure all the way through the process. Data and outcomes are very important. They're critically important. They're also just one piece of the puzzle in the big picture of adult education programming. Thank you.